What could be worse than America's border crisis? Finding out that your taxpayer money is actually being used by far left-wing groups to help cartels recruit and traffic people into this country. Coming up, we'll show you about the money scam, the fraudulent use of taxpayer money as part of our border crisis, and how in California we are at the tip of the spear in the fight to try to restore some sanity. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and on this show we have covered in depth the various drivers of America's border crisis and the fact that in the state of California, we are at the epicenter of that crisis because we are a sanctuary state. We know that Governor Abbott of Texas has done his best to secure his border, and as a result, the migrant flow has come here to Southern California. Now, California's border crossings are the #1 crossings in the nation for illegal immigrants. And it's going to get worse. We give taxpayer-funded welfare in the state of California to illegal immigrants, and that is an inducement, it is an enticement for people to come across the border. But worse than even that, worse than the taxpayer money being dangled in front of illegal immigrants to incentivize them to come here, we've got taxpayer money being given to left-wing open border organizations who are actually part of the human trafficking enterprise. Human trafficking and our border crisis is actually a profit-making industry for the cartels, the coyotes, the people who, go down to Central America and take money. They take $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 per person, take money from these migrants to traffic them across the border. They say, oh, hire us. We're like your DoorDash driver, but for illegal immigration. Hire us and we'll get you across the border. But what people do not know is that once that person gets to the border, there is another enterprise that's funded with your taxpayer money to receive the illegal immigrant and then get them into various parts of our country. It's all being funded by your taxpayer money. The politicians are using your money to give to these groups. And I would argue that we would not have the level of human trafficking if we didn't see money on both sides of the equation. And we have a number of examples where these nonprofit organizations funded in the U.S. are using money to do advertisements into Central and South America to encourage people to come. Let's look through the numbers, shall we? First, let's start out with the true cost to your taxpayer money of illegal immigration. The Federation for American Immigration Reform does phenomenal work on illegal immigration nationally. And their 2023 study tabulates $150.7 billion in annual fiscal cost of illegal immigration. And that's federal, state, and local funding that is shelled out to deal with the cost of illegal immigration. And this net number, by the way, is net of the taxes that illegal immigrants pay when they, take their jobs illegally or, are here and, buy sales tax, you buy a soda, there's an estimate for what tax revenue are they generating? Well, $32 billion. The net cost, though, is $150.7 billion because the total cost of illegal immigration is $182. This is up dramatically since 2017 when it was $116 billion. In 5 years, the cost has increased $35 billion. That's a staggering amount. The cost to each taxpayer, $1,156. After incorporating the taxes paid by illegal immigrants, $957 per taxpayer. That's what you're paying for this crisis. And by the way, that's each and every year. It's insane. When you take a look at these funds, they tend to be things like the social services and education provided to illegal immigrants. But some of it is the actual outlays for these contracts that are given to these human trafficking organizations. And let's call them what they are. These are not charities. These are not immigration advocate groups. These are human trafficking organizations. I'm talking about Catholic Charities, Jewish Family Services, and a gaggle of other groups. None of these groups are actual charities. I want to make that quite clear. They get very little money from private donations. They get their money in the form of government contracts. They are government contractors hired by the government, funded by you, the taxpayer, as part of the human trafficking supply chain. They are workers. They are vendors in the human trafficking evil enterprise, and they're making money on it. Well, they're in it for the profit, but they're also in it for the politics, because these are all left-wing groups. So here's in the New York Post, they talk about Catholic Charities, other groups like the Organization for Migration got money from the U.S. State Department to give illegal immigrants from Mexico debit cards when they arrive for $800 each. Are you getting debit cards from government for $800? No, but an illegal immigrant is, with federal taxpayer money from the U.S. State Department. Why in the hell are we doing that? That is an inducement. It is an incentive for someone to come here illegally. They're dangling the carrots. And of course, the cartel people are like, oh yeah, you get across and you get $800. And then they book you a ticket on a bus, on a plane. They give you free room and board. They sign you up for the welfare. Catholic Charities has been getting money all along. They get a food program for millions of dollars from FEMA. FEMA gives out gift cards and food packages, books rooms at motels, buys tickets to destinations, millions of dollars from FEMA to Catholic Charities. Of course, they want them all to be given citizenship and registered to vote. Take a look at this one here. Nonprofit organizations profiting from Biden's border crisis. And by the way, you can search Catholic Charities, government funding, illegal immigration, migrant aid, or Jewish Family Services. You know, just search these groups and you'll find that they're government contractors getting lots of money. So here's a group out there. We'll start out with, what's the name of this group? The funding for these groups has gone up dramatically under Biden. Global Refuge saw its revenue rise from $50 million in 2018 during Trump to $200 million in 2022. It's a $150 million boon from Biden. It's insane. You've got Global Refuge did 2,500 illegal immigrant children in 2019 at a cost of $30 million, okay? So if you take $30 million under Trump and you divide it by 2,500 migrants, that's $12,000 per. Well, they did $82.5 million during the Biden administration in 2022, but only served 1,443 kids at a cost of $57,172 per child for housing. You think there's corruption and graft and profiteering going on here? I love how the Democrats say, oh, oil companies are price gouging. What do you think these human trafficking so-called nonprofits are doing? Global Refuge CEO Krish Omara Vinaraja saw her salary more than double from $244,000 to $520,000. Must be all the performance bonuses, huh? You got a lot more money from your political friends and moolah comes right into your pocket. Prior to being the CEO of this human trafficking enterprise, she was former First Lady's policy director, Michelle Obama. Another group, Endeavors, got $1 billion in 2022 for illegal immigration. $1 billion. This is insane. $1 billion to one so-called nonprofit. They spent $533,000 on a music therapist. $4.6 million on consulting services, $1.4 million on conferences, and $700,000 on lobbyists. I guarantee you, lobbying for more taxpayer money or more open border policies and more welfare for illegal immigrants. A group called Southwest Key Programs got $800 million in 2022, of which $1 million went to the CEO of this far left-wing group. Look, I could go on and on. I'm just giving you some highlights. The media doesn't want to report. What they do is when they talk about Catholic Charities or Jewish Family Services or some of these groups, they call them migrant aid charities. Bitch, please, they're not charities. They are government scammers, grifters, and contractors taking our taxpayer money and funding the evil enterprise of human trafficking. This open border crisis would not be happening if there wasn't a funding stream to pick up these people and move them to their next location and destination. Remember, these are individuals who are like, okay, so I give you $10,000, Mr. Coyote, and then you get me to the United States. Well, what the hell am I going to do then? I'm kind of stranded. No, es bueno, es bueno. We got Catholic Charities, and they're going to give you all this money. $800 right when you walk across. Gift card. A ticket to your preferred destination. Housing. In California, they give you free health care at taxpayer expense. Billions of dollars. The milk is flowing freely. Again, inspector generals are starting to look at this. This is from last year. Inspector General Audit finds abuse of taxpayer dollars on illegal immigrants. These are of some of the nonprofit, so-called nonprofits. They looked at this emergency food and shelter program. By the way, on the board, Catholic Charities. The same organization that's getting money is on the board to oversee the program. You don't think that's a conflict of interest? FEMA is not providing any oversight, and that's by design in the Biden administration. They want to fund the left and not worry about any sort of compliance with internal controls. The IG identified various price gouging and waste, fraud, and abuse. One nonprofit reimbursed twice for the same expenditure, pocketing $80,000 when they were only owed $40,000. I wonder if that was for music therapy. Another contractor charged $8.9 million for labor by simply multiplying 24 hours per day per employee by the employee's wage rate. So they worked 24 hours around the clock every single day. When the charity was asked for documentation by the auditors, they could only prove $1.5 million of the $8.9 million in charges for labor that they made. Where is this in the media? Oh no, they're going to look the other way. Because the liberal media likes an open border. And they understand that this funding your taxpayer money is part of facilitating that border crisis. Again, this is a whole enterprise, and people are making money hand over fist by creating an open border, by putting people in harm's way. And we have to stop it. This isn't just federal money, by the way. We're talking about state and local money, which is why when people say, I'm fleeing California and I'll go to a red state and I'll be happier. If you don't stay and fight, you won't be able to secure the border. Because in California, this crap's going to continue until we vote out these open border politicians. That's why at Reform California, we are fighting so hard to get our voter guide out in this election, because we only endorse candidates who will shut down this absurd flow of money to human traffickers. Go to the website reformcalifornia.org. Make sure that you're getting that voter guide by signing up at the bottom of the page right here. Sign up your first name, your last name, email, phone, zip code, so that we can get that voter guide to you when your ballot arrives in the first week of October. Second, please chip in a contribution to power our movement. We are exclusively funded by grassroots supporters. We don't get government contracts. We don't get the George Soros money. We have to do this $25 a pop through contributors like you. Please support us and in the fight to restore some sort of security at our southern border by changing the policies here in California that fund a lot of these left-wing organizations. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.